Hello there. Hey, this is William Toel speaking to you. Important subject today. What are the secrets behind the New World Order? Well, there is a spirit abroad in the land, and some people call it the New World Order, some globalism, some social Marxism. Now, it takes on many guises to confuse you, but it's always the same spirit. Well, we'll call this the spirit of the world. Now, what does this spirit want? Well, the spirit wants to destroy the relation that God, the Creator, has with His people and with His creation. God says that friendship with the world is hatred toward Him. Now, the purpose of this spirit is to make all people complicit and dependent on the world systems, where more and more power is controlled in fewer and fewer hands. Well, it will clothe itself in wonderful words like equality or opportunity to try to confuse you, but underneath it always is the same goal: power over others. Well, that's how you can recognize it. Now, I, as the watchman on the wall, am sent by God to define what this spirit is and to bring its goals and activities out into the light. Well, eventually everyone must decide where their heart inclines. Now, the mouth often says what others want to hear and is easily changeable, but the heart's beliefs are far deeper, more permanent. Now, in modern history, men who have achieved material success, it's almost exclusively male, have felt that their elite education and material good fortune were the proof of their enlightenment and their exceptional worth to society. Well, they believe that they alone have the right to set the rules and put organizations in place to rule over the world's people. Well, their exceptionalism gives them the right to govern the lives of families, not their own, and in a borderless world of their design. This includes the basic decisions that families should be making for themselves, such as health and education and risk. Now, whether this is non-governmental organizations associated with the West, such as the IMF, the WTO, the WHO, or global corporations or activists, philanthropists, or even the Chinese communists, the aim is always the same: to separate the individual from the accountability to each other and to their Creator, and to consolidate power. Well, each of these forces are aligned under the spirit of the world, and even though they themselves deny it, well, this is the spirit that is known by the moniker of the New World Order. Now, this spirit is in a constant control battle against God, who says He alone is sovereign and sets the rule, or way things are meant to work, for His creation, a creation far broader than this one infinitesimally small planet and the structures upon it. Is a battle between the rich man's pride and ego and God's love and omnipresence. Well, these are the secular elites loyal to a secular religion. Well, for the present, they have a predominantly Anglo-Saxon mentality. Their spirit is especially strongly felt in New York and in London, nearly as prominent in Washington, D.C. and Brussels, and in a slightly different form in Beijing. Well, the spirit of this world values people by their wealth and assumes that everyone has a price. Where do you live? What do you do? How expensive are your possessions? How exclusive are your peers and clubs? And what your credentials and networks are. Well, these are how they measure the worth of a person, whether you are in or out. Well, this is in direct opposition to the way of valuing people by their personal integrity and their ability to contribute to the needs of their neighbors. One system measures the size of the heart, and the other one measures the size of the wallet. Now, the spirit of the world rewards those who are loyal to its tenets and punishes those who are not. Well, they are meaner and more ruthless than you can imagine. Their enemies in priority are this: family loyalty, a larger family, and that is patriotism, highly intelligent people who cannot be bought or coerced, and idealistic or romantic ideals that develop a personal charismatic following, and normal people, the middle 80%, in the streets, angry and able to communicate with each other. I mean, the French Revolution has left a lasting, vivid impression on these people. The elites who serve the NWO purposely disguise themselves in the world. Well, they have learned much from history, and they put it into practice. A nation with boundaries is always at risk of invasion from a stronger nation. So they have no fixed nationality. They have greater loyalty to each other's schemes than they do to many places they live. A fixed physical address will attract hangers-on and beggars and kidnappers, etc. Well, they have no address that can be compromised. Claiming to own anything on paper, and then you will be continually sued by someone trying to get lucky. So they obscure their record of ownership. They depend on the fact that no one knows they exist. Only their paid surrogates have faces and names. And now they have no need for military assets, since their wealth is deeply embedded in all the world's key organizations and committees, so that many militaries do their unquestioned bidding on request. Well, to pursue their goals, the elites who subscribe to the spirit of the world desire a great reset, a dramatic interruption characterized by fear and confusion in the rhythms and traditions of people that would lead to an entirely new reordering of the world. Now, we're not talking about simply a new order of the nations at the top, but a world characterized by global governance and the free and continual flow of populations throughout a borderless world without sovereign nations. Well, in this world, people would have no ownership of anything, nor aspiration to anything. There will be no hindrance to the free and carefully disguised consolidation of money. Those in control create the volatility and benefit on both sides of the transaction. Their desire to dominate has always been there, and the means are becoming more readily available. Through the application of Moore's law, the rapid advancement of technology by technology, well, they can now control the world from obscurity. This emboldens them to challenge a God they do not believe exists, dominating and bending people to their will. They will always use fear, a highly contagious emotion, and confusion that immobilizes action. The forces of the NWO continually position themselves as the guarantors of peace and prosperity and they gain loyalty by taking advantage of the normal human tendency to cling to security. Well, in reality, they continually stir up conflicts between nations and peoples. They are universally troubled by the exponential explosion of the world's population in the last 200 years. Now, they confuse us by making us think they are capitalist in their actions when they are actually Marxist in their hearts. They noisily defend democracy, but none of the organizations they have put in place so far have any vestige of democracy in them. Well, they would be appalled if the masses had any say in their operations. Now, let me read you something. Konrad Adenauer once wrote, "For the great struggle between Christianity and materialism is fought in the soul of the youth. Unless we succeed in persuading the individual young person in Germany to conceive of himself or herself as a Christian personality with a duty to account for his life to God, we shall have worked in vain." In the decades since, the forces of the New World Order have tried to block and erase this dream. Well, they almost succeeded in the recreation of Germany in their material image, but not quite. The Deutsche Seele still lives, its sacred honor fully intact. This is William Toel speaking to you.